So good morning, everyone. My name is Christy, and I'm from the American Red Cross to bring to you a very special program called the Pillowcase Project. So before we get started, you hear that I'm from the American Red Cross. Can anybody tell me what the Red Cross does? Because we do so many different things. Absolutely, we help people in hospitals, okay? So one of the things that the Red Cross does is we host a lot of blood drives. So when you're a little bit older, if you have an adult in your home, they can come, donate blood, and we supply this to the hospitals, absolutely. Do any of you plan on becoming babysitters when you're older? All right, fantastic. So Red Cross, we teach a lot of different classes. So we teach the babysitters how to become babysitters. We teach lifeguards how to become lifeguards, okay? And how many of you have heard of first aid or CPR? All right, fantastic. So Red Cross, we also teach first aid and CPR. All right, fantastic. What else do we do? All right, absolutely. We help the military, all right? So Red Cross, we work very closely with the military. So say if someone's overseas and they need to come back because maybe a family member is not feeling well or we need to get them back home for an emergency, the Red Cross will work very closely with the military to get them back home, okay? And what else do we do? There's one more thing that I'm thinking of. Absolutely, we help people. So the Red Cross helps people during emergencies. So if you see a large disaster on TV, something like a hurricane or a flood or a winter storm or a tsunami, Red Cross will go and respond and help people with sheltering and food and clothing. So we help people in large disasters, and then we also help people locally. So if somebody had a home fire, somebody from Red Cross will go and they'll help them, okay? So today we're going to focus mainly on emergencies and natural disasters because that's actually where the Pillowcase Project started, okay? So many years ago, there was a very, very large storm called a hurricane, okay? And the storm was called Hurricane Katrina. This was a very large hurricane that affected many, many people, okay? So the Red Cross, we responded and we opened up a shelter, and students, just like you guys, were asked to evacuate. So go from an unsafe place to a safe place. So they went to a Red Cross shelter. So the Red Cross out in Louisiana noticed that all these students had their belongings in pillowcases. So things like an extra pair of clothing, their toothbrush, their toothpaste, maybe their school books if they felt like studying. They put all their belongings in a pillowcase and they went to a Red Cross shelter. So the Red Cross out in Louisiana thought, what a great idea to teach students all over the country about how to be prepared for emergencies and what to put in their go bag, which is their pillowcase. So if something were to happen, they can just grab it and go, okay? So today we're gonna learn a little bit about home fires, a hazard that can happen in your community. And at the end of this presentation, you are all going to get your own pillowcase so you can fill it with things that you would need in case of an emergency. So if something were to happen, you can just grab it and go. All right, does that sound good? All right, fantastic. So throughout the entire presentation, you're going to hear 3 words, which is learn, practice, and share. And if you look in front of your workbook, you can actually see those words right there so you can remember our phrase throughout the presentation, okay? So how many of you play an instrument or a sport? All right, fantastic. This is a really talented group. Okay, so here's the question. When you first played, were you really good at it? No? I see some naturals in the room. Okay, so what's the first thing you had to do? You had to learn, right? You had to learn how to play that instrument or sport. And then what did you have to do in order to get really good? You had to practice, right? So you had to practice so you can get really, really good. And then once you were really good at playing baseball or the violin, what did you do? Yep, you shared it. You shared it. So maybe you shared it with a little brother or sister, or maybe you showed somebody else how to play, or maybe at that violin concert you just had, maybe you shared your new skill with everyone you learned, okay? So learning emergency preparedness skills is just like learning how to play that instrument or sport, okay? So today we're gonna learn how emergencies happen and what you can do to stay safe. And then we're gonna practice some things, okay? So if something were to happen, you already know what to do. And then at this end of the presentation, it's a really, really big job, but you are all going to be Red Cross ambassadors, okay? So you're gonna be Red Crossers just like me, just like our assistant, okay? Because we want you to share what you learned here today, okay? So everything that you're learning here in this presentation, we want you to take home. We want you to share with your friends, your aunt, your uncle, maybe you're someone on your baseball team, okay? So everyone you know can be prepared if something were to happen. Does that sound good? All right, so we're actually going to start off by practicing something, and you actually might hear it a little bit later, okay? So we're going to do the Pillowcase Project pledge, which is a promise, okay? So we're promising right now that we're going to be prepared and be safe if something were to happen, okay? So I want everyone to repeat after me. So I pledge to be prepared for emergencies by learning how emergencies happen, practicing how to stay safe, and sharing what I've learned at home and with my friends. All right, so let's get started. Okay. All right, so we gave you some skills on how to be prepared for an emergency that can happen in your town. So now we need to give you some skills, right? So we talk about these emergencies. That can be a little scary, right? Home fires and hurricanes and winter storms. These are scary things, right? So we're going to teach you a skill that can keep you calm and safe during an emergency, okay? And this is called a coping skill, okay? Do any of you do something now that makes you just feel happy and calm if you're afraid or scared? What do you guys do? All right, fantastic. Yeah, it looks like you're already doing coping skills. So I know something I like to do is I love to color, okay? So I go home and if I'm feeling a little nervous, I start coloring, okay? But something that the Red Cross taught me, and I was actually a little nervous before I came into this presentation, so I practiced and I did this coping skill. It's called breathing with color, okay? So when you're scared or you're nervous, what's typically the first thing you do? You start breathing really, really heavy, right? So this is an exercise to regulate your breaths, make you calm, and just make you feel more relaxed, okay? So I'm going to teach it to you right now. So I want everyone to think of two colors, okay? And you're going to keep those colors inside your head because my favorite color might be different from your favorite color, okay? So I want you to think of your first color. So this color is going to make you feel really, really happy. Something that makes you feel good. Something that makes you feel calm, okay? I always think of the color blue, okay? Because it reminds me of the blue ocean and a bright sunny day with the blue skies, and my favorite dress is blue. So it's just something that makes me really, really happy. It makes me feel good, so that's my happy color. You can have whatever happy color you want, so I want you to think of that. And then the second color I want you to think of is a color that maybe that's not so good, okay? Something that is maybe just makes you feel not great. So the color I always think about is gray because it reminds me of the gray skies, it reminds me of smoke. So that's just a color that I think of that's not so great, okay? So your two colors. So I have my blue and I have my gray. So I want everyone to think of their two colors, and I want you to close your eyes. We're gonna practice something, okay? So I want you to take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And do one more time. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now this time, when you breathe in, I want you to think of your happy color. Okay? I want you to think of those good feelings, the happy things that make you feel good. So I want you to breathe in that good color, breathing in those good thoughts, and I want you to let out the gray, okay? So the gray, this represents maybe your not so good feelings, your anxiety, your fears, anything that makes you not feel good, okay? I want you to breathe out that color. So now we're gonna practice breathing in the good and out the bad, okay? So I want you to breathe in the good color, and breathe out the bad. 2 more times we're gonna practice. Breathe in the blue, breathe out the gray. Now everyone open their eyes. How do you guys feel? Sleepy? Okay, absolutely. These are all things you should be feeling, right? Maybe a little sleepy, calmer. This is exactly what this exercise is supposed to do, this coping skill, okay? So with the show of hands, this is pretty simple, right? How many of you think you can teach somebody how to do this? Maybe a younger brother or sister if they're nervous about something, or maybe before a pop quiz? Yeah? All right, so we want you to take this and we want you to share it with someone you know.
Now that we have learned some of these skills to be prepared for emergencies, we need tools as well. And for this, you are going to need your workbook. So open up your workbook until you find the map on page 6 and 7. Now it's really important to have an emergency plan so that you know how to get out of a home fire safely. Now, I know you guys probably get a lot of homework, right? Well, we have some homework for your parents today. So check out the map here on page 6. As you can see, this is someone's house with 2 exit routes out of every room in the house, as well as a spot to meet up. And that is what we want you and your grown-ups to draw right here. This is going to be a diagram of your house with 2 exit routes out of every room in the house. Why do you think you want 2? Yes, that's a great answer. Just in case one is blocked by the fire or in case of an earthquake, maybe something fell over. It's really important to have a second exit route already planned. Now, smoke rises and more people get hurt from inhaling smoke than from coming into contact with fire. So as you are getting out of a home fire, make sure that you get low and go because the air is cleaner closer to the ground. And if you come to a door, check it with the back of your hand. The back of your hand is less sensitive than your palm, so you'll check the door and then the doorknob. And if you don't feel any heat, it's okay to slowly open the door, look on the other side for smoke or fire, and continue through your exit. If you see smoke or fire, keep the door closed and then use your second exit. Now it's important when you get outside that everyone knows what the meetup spot is. Maybe this is a tree in your backyard or maybe it's a mailbox, but it's important to have that meetup spot so that everybody knows who got out safely. Now, in case both of your exits are blocked and you are trapped, that is okay. Take something really visible, like a sheet or a towel, and hang it at your window. Firefighters are actually trained to look for signals like that to see if anyone is trapped. Now, it takes about 2 minutes to get out of a home fire safely. Now, if you only have 2 minutes, do you think that you have time to look for your pet? No. Do you think that you have time to grab your pillowcase? No. The only thing that you have time to do is to get out as safely and as quickly as possible. So get out, stay out, and call 911. That way, the firefighters can get there as soon as possible and rescue your pets and anybody else that still has to be rescued inside of your home. Now, here on this page, in addition to having your escape plan, you can also practice your plan. Imagine you come up with a great fire escape plan, but nothing happens until 3 years from now. Do you think that you're going to remember this plan? Probably not. So it's a good idea to practice twice a year to make sure that your plan works and to practice so that you can get the hang of it. Another important thing is to have working smoke alarms in your home. So make sure that the grown-ups test the smoke alarms in your home to make sure that they are working. A smoke alarm looks like this, and there's a button here on top, and if you press it and hold it, then it will beep. So make sure that the grown-ups are testing the smoke alarm so that they work. Once you have your plan for your home fire, you can also look at the pages on page 8 and 9. Now it's really important in case something happens that you have all of the phone numbers written down for the people who live in your house. Maybe your phone doesn't work, and maybe your phone is working, but you're having trouble contacting the people who are in your family. If that happens, it's a good idea to have an out-of-state contact. It'll actually be easier to call somebody who lives out of state than somebody who lives in town. So make sure that everyone in your family knows who that out-of-state contact is. Another important thing is to have a second meetup spot that's away from your home. Maybe it's at school. That way, if an earthquake happens in the middle of the day and your family has to meet up, they know that everyone is going to meet up at your school so that they can pick you up and head home or to a shelter safely. You can write down lots of important information on these pages, like the name and address of the local fire station or the local police station. That way, if you need that information in a hurry, you already have this written down. Another important thing is to have your emergency supply kit. There's a checklist here to show you what items should go inside of your pillowcase. And there's also a checklist for the items that should go inside of your family's emergency kit. You can take a look at my pillowcase kit here. I have lots of important stuff. I have food, just in case I get hungry and I need food to survive. I also have a bottle of water. Food and water are some of the most important things to have inside of your kit. Now at this point, I would like to take some volunteers. Raise your hand, and if I pick on you, you can come up, take an item out of my pillowcase kit, and tell me if it is something that you would need in an emergency or something that you would want, and how you would use that in an emergency. Go ahead. Another good idea is to have a special item inside of your pillowcase. What do you guys think a special item is? Yes, these are great answers. A special item is something that you keep in your pillowcase kit that is special to you, that helps you feel comfortable and safe. Inside of my pillowcase kit, I have my friend Pikachu playing a saxophone. And I know that if an emergency happened, my buddy Pikachu would be with me and he would help me feel safe. Your special item could be a book or a toy or even pictures of the people that you love. It could even be the symbol of strength that we may have talked about earlier. Now, there are some emergencies that happen where we have lots of warning, like for a flood or a hurricane. And if we have warning and we are evacuating, which means we are going from somewhere that is unsafe to somewhere that is safe, then we have time to get our pillowcase kit. But if it's a fire and we only have 2 minutes to get out, do you think you have time to get your pillowcase? No, that is an act fast emergency, and that means that you will have to leave it behind. So, if you have little to no warning of an emergency happening and you have to get out of your house fast, you won't have time to grab your pillowcase kit and you will have to leave it behind. Things, even little Pikachu, can be replaced, but you cannot be replaced. So it's important that you get out safely and quickly. So we learned a lot today. I'm sure you guys are really ready to get your pillowcases. However, we have one more thing to do, and it's a quiz. However, this quiz is to test us to make sure that we did a good job teaching you. You don't even have to put your name on it. Now I'm going to pass out this quiz to everybody, and please don't start until everybody has the quiz. Be sure to be quiet and not talk about the quiz with your neighbor because we will all do the quiz together. Are you guys ready? I'm going to read the questions aloud, and when I read the question, circle the answer that you think is best. Don't shout the answer out loud and don't share your answers. Are you guys ready? Question number 1. How quickly should you get outside when you practice your home fire escape plan? Is it A, less than 2 minutes, B, 10 minutes or more, C, 1 hour, or circle D if you don't know? Question number 2. What is the most important thing to do when you are escaping a home fire? Is it A, get your pillowcase kit, B, get out safely as fast as possible, C, find your pet, or circle D if you are not sure? Question number 3. What usually happens after an earthquake? Is it A, an aftershock, B, a rise in temperature, C, a thunderstorm, or circle D if you don't know? Question number 4. If an earthquake happens, what should you do? Is it A, run, B, drop, cover, and hold on, C, stop, look, and listen, or circle D if you are not sure? And finally, question number 5. After participating in the Pillowcase Project, do you feel better prepared for emergencies? Circle A if you do, and B if you don't. Finally, please write down the number for the grade you are in at the line at the bottom. And if you have a grown-up in your house that is in the military, then you can check the box at the bottom. Now everybody, pass your papers to the front and we will collect them. Great. Now that we have collected all the quizzes, let's go over the answers. Question number 1. How quickly should you get outside when you practice your home fire escape plan? A, less than 2 minutes. 2. What is the most important thing to do when escaping a home fire? B, get out safely as fast as possible. Question 3. What usually happens after an earthquake? A, an aftershock. 4. If an earthquake happens, what should you do? The answer is B, drop, cover, and hold on. And finally, hopefully you do feel more prepared for emergencies. Everybody, I want to thank you for participating in the Pillowcase Project today. Hopefully you learned something new about hazards and how to stay safe. I hope you had fun practicing what to do in case there is a home fire or another emergency in your area. And I hope that when you go home today, you have lots of great information to share with your family. Thank you so much and stay safe.